In this overview, we'll show you the highlights of inherited properties. With inherited properties, you can automatically apply property values to all descendants of a node. This allows you to save time because you only have to define a value once and ensure consistency of property values for an entire branch of nodes. You also have the flexibility to override an inherited property value. For example, a human resources department of 15 people has a cost center property value of CC51 for the director. That cost center would be inherited by the director's 14 descendant nodes. This type of inheritance is called positional because the inheritance is determined by a node's position in the hierarchy. In the Europe and Middle East branch of nodes, the euro currency value is defined at the top of the branch. You can view descendants of this node to see if they've inherited the euro currency value. If you add a new node within the Europe and Middle East branch of nodes, it automatically inherits the euro value. If you move a node to a different parent, it inherits the value associated with the new parent. You can also override an inherited property value. For example, you add another node to the hierarchy and the new node doesn't use the euro currency. You can edit the property to define the appropriate value. Any descendants also inherit the defined value unless they are overridden at a lower level. If circumstances change, you can clear the defined value to allow a node to inherit a value from its parent. With positional inheritance, shared nodes can inherit different property values based on their position in the hierarchy set. For example, Russia rolls up into Europe and Middle East, but as a shared node, it also rolls up into Asia Pacific. For the Europe and Middle East roll-up, Russia's currency value is euro as inherited from its Europe and Middle East parent. For the Asia Pacific roll-up, its currency value is US dollars as inherited from its Asia Pacific parent. Next, let's examine how inherited properties are configured. Administrators set up inherited properties when they register or modify the registration of a custom application. You can inspect the property to show that the inheritance is enabled. In this overview, we showed you the highlights of inherited properties. To learn more, visit cloud.oracle.com.